Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we have the pleasure of checking out a brand new gacha roguelike card battling turn-based RPG. Today we're going to be checking out Chaos Zero Nightmare, who is also the sponsor of today's video, so thank you so much to them. Today I have the pleasure of talking and covering their game, as I've been playing it a lot myself recently. Today I'm just gonna kind of go over and give you guys my full first impressions. I've taken the time here today to kind of get a full overview of what this game has to offer. I got us to level 10, and honestly, so far, being real, I've been having a ton of fun with the game. I love turn-based games. If you know this channel, that's what we're all about over here. So that's what we're going to be checking out today. Getting straight into it, to give a brief little overview of kind of like the atmosphere of this game, the story impact. The story is actually a big point of emphasis in this game, and I think that's one that they do really well. This game is kind of rooted in a lot of dark fantasy horror sort of vibes, and you'll see that a lot with the consistent monster designs, which are some of the creepiest things I've ever seen. The backdrops, the in-game dialogue, a lot of that is kind of like psychological horror, and if you're into that sort of thing, you'll love this game. Anyways, that's kind of the vibe, but getting into the story, you basically come into Earth. A major outbreak called the Chaos, which is also described as the Black Fog, happens, which consumes planets, warps environments, and life forms, and kind of creates the creepy monsters that you see. You kind of take the role as this operative who has to kind of stop this disaster from happening, and you do that with the SS Nightmare and their crew to step up and confront the disaster. That's just a little overview of the story. This game takes on a lot of kind of dark subplots. Like, a lot of focus on this game is the mental strain and psychological trauma that a lot of characters have, which we'll get more into later because they literally incorporate it as a game mechanic, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, very dark subplots going on here. Honestly, I'm a big fan of it. So if you enjoy that sort of thing, you're going to love this game. But let's get into some of the other stuff we want to talk about. Now let's get into the game mechanics. What are we looking at here? What's the gacha like? All that kind of good stuff. So the first thing I kind of want to go over is the combat. I think the combat is one of the biggest highlights of this game, and it's probably my favorite part of the game. You're going to have a team of 3 characters, which you can put together. They have elements, classes. So there's Striker, Vanguard, Ranger, Hunter, Psionic, Controller. You can read up on some of these here. They're kind of like your basic attacker, basic defender, those sorts of things. And then we also have 5 different types in the game, which have increased damage against certain enemies, which we'll get into when we talk about the combat. And like I said in the intro, this is a card-based strategy game, and you can actually come here and save different decks of cards, which you get through doing different game modes. You can have preset decks and a bunch of other stuff, which is super cool. You can go through this stage called the Chaos Manifestation, which is kind of like a little dungeon crawler. I was doing this earlier. It's actually super cool. You have like battle stages, vent stages, lots of cool stuff to go on here. It kind of reminded me a lot of Simulated Universe, which is super cool. But yeah, you can see here, you can choose to go through different battles. These unknown stages are really cool. You'll get like a random pop-up event, and it has some really creepy pop-up events. I recorded some of them earlier, and there was like guys trying to execute me, mass murder going on, some crazy stuff. But then it all leads up to the boss stage at the very end, and depending on the gear you get throughout here and the cards, these are what make your decks. And you'll make your deck throughout playing this stage, and then you can save it as a preset on your character. But you know what? Maybe it's just easier if I show it in combat. So let's get into some combat here. Like I said earlier, this is a card-based strategy game. You're going to have your deck over here with your 18 cards. This is your pickup pile. You can click on it and see all the cards you have in your deck from your 3 different characters. And then over here on the far right, you're going to have your discard pile, which is any cards you don't use on your attack turn. They're going to go to your discard pile, and you can no longer use those cards until the turn resets. So you'll see here that each of the cards have like a 1 on them or a 2. And then you see that big bright number down there at the bottom. Yeah. Each time you use one of these cards, it's going to take away a point. So if we use one card here, this one costs 1 point. So it's now going to go down to 2 at the bottom there. Also, something you might have noticed there is that the enemy was weak. So all the enemies in this game have weaknesses. You can see that below the little 2. It has a dark symbol there. It has a dark symbol there. This is a dark themed character. And so we do super effective damage. versus each of these enemies. Each of these cards kind of does something different. My deck right now is like shielders, damage, lots of good stuff here. If you ever want to pull up your card, you can kind of just drag it up and then see what it is. Maybe you don't want to use it. You can have healing cards. We actually share an HP bar between all the characters. So if you look at the top there, all 3 characters share an HP bar. All right, here you go, boys. They're going to do some stuff, but we got a shield, so I don't think they'll be able to do too much damage to us. Nope, we should be good. We got a counter off there. Nice. And now we got our cards up at the bottom again. All right, pretty much the basics of battle. The other important thing to note is the EP and these side cards over here. These are equipables, which you put on your character. And essentially, these are like little ultimates. You can see how much EP it's going to cost to use each of these on the left. So, for example, all the ones right now cost 5 or 6. We only have 1 EP total right now. So we can't use any of them at the moment. Another important thing to note is that you can actually redo your turns, which is a really cool mechanic. If you regret one of your actions, you can undo the last card or ego skill and return to your previous state. So if I regret doing that, I just go back. Boom. You can only use so many of these in battle, unfortunately. As you can see, we got 14 out of 15 here. So you can't just spam this forever. But if you are fighting a tough boss and you just want to think some stuff out, then you can do that. That is most of the basics of battle. There is one other mechanic called the mental trauma mechanic. But to get to that mechanic, you have to take a frick ton of damage. It is also referred to as mental breakdown. We'll throw up some gameplay of that now. But essentially, when your character gets to mental breakdown, which you can see that little purple bar below the HP bar. Yeah, that's it right there. Your character will get a whole new deck of cards. And it will permanently reduce your team's HP by 33% during that battle. And even after you finish the battle, it will not get removed. You stay in mental breakdown status, and you have to do something else to clear it. Fun fact, we actually have a character in mental breakdown status right now. Yeah, you can see that here. The little cracked skull symbol means she's in a mental breakdown right now. And we have to go and bring her to the center and treat her trauma and give her counseling to make her feel better, which in my opinion is really funny. It's also kind of sad at the same time. One of the craziest mechanics I've ever seen in a gacha game, where you have to cure characters' mental trauma. And then after that, they can become usable again on your squads. And just like that, Ray is as happy as a carrot again. Feeling good. But yeah, that's pretty much the basics of battle. I hope I explained that pretty well for you guys. Very interesting stuff there. So I actually did get us to level 10 because when you get to level 10, you get a lot of important stuff. One of the important things was the event tab. And in the event tab, you get a bunch of free rewards. And this game actually has a lot of free rewards, which I've noticed. We get like 2 stuff here. Ray's gift is more free 10 pulls and stuff. You have like your level up rewards. So as we increase our level, we get free rewards here as well. We get like 10 pulls, which we can use on the banner. As we progress through the story, we also get different rewards. So already right here, there's like 4 different event rewards. Some other important gameplay mechanics, which are kind of like standard in these kind of turn-based gachas, are daily missions, which give us pulling material, and then also daily EXP. We have like our guidebook, which gives us some missions to do. And as we do the missions, we unlock pull stuff and other good materials as well. And then we also have a level up handbook, which as we level up, we get some materials to pull, level up our characters, a lot of good stuff here. There's also the simulation mode, which essentially this is just the grind area. This is where you go get the materials to like level up your characters, your character's weapons or other stuff, which we're going to talk about in a minute here. Technically in this game, they're called partners, which is actually a really cool system. But yeah, this is your grind location where you get all the stuff you need to level up your characters. And then there's Chaos, which we talked about earlier, which is essentially the dungeon crawler game mode where you get their card sets. And then the last 2 things are our combatants tab. Gonna get more of these because in the last one, we have our rescue tab, rescuing them from their trauma. Yes, this is where we do our summons. So you'll notice there are a lot of summon banners over here. Essentially, if I had to attribute these to something you would understand, this would be like the limited banner, the limited weapon partner banner is what I would attribute this to. The 50 pull banner, where you get it guaranteed after 50. this is limited. You only get this one time, but this one's worth doing because you get the discount of 20, and it only costs 8. And then you have your normal combatant banner, and then the partners to the combatants also have their own banner as well. You can attribute this to a weapon. The probability works in this game similar to most gotchas, where it's like you have to go to pity. Once you get to pity, it's a 50-50. And then after the 50-50, you do get a guaranteed after like another 70. It's technically a little bit better because from what I've found so far, this game's pretty generous with what they give away. And it's only 70 pity, and the pulls are 160 per. So it's not too terrible. As for the rewards, which I was talking about, which are pretty generous, I actually already looked in the mail here. I have not claimed these yet, but there's a lot of rewards in the mail here, which are just given out for free. For example, this is a free character, I believe. Yep, free character. Awesome. Ooh. Oh my god. Who is that? Okay. That's 20 summons right there. Now, these are the standard summons, but it's still nice. 3 more summons, more stuff, 5 more summons, and 5 more summons. And then even more, we get 800 more crystals. So, yeah, off the rip, just from the event tab. And I haven't even finished the event yet. I haven't got all the way through. And the mail, I'm already looking at 50 summons. Basically meaning I can get this special rescue agent right now if I wanted and get one of the limited agents because I haven't done this yet. The agents in this game are sorted into 2 categories. So there's like the standard orange ones, and then there's like the limited rainbow looking ones. So that's how you know which ones are the standard characters and which ones are the crazy good characters. And honestly, I'm kind of down to roll for some more because I do need some better things for my account right now. I'm looking for new partners, which I did want to discuss quickly, actually. So side note, these are your partners. These are like your upgradable weapons. And these guys all give different effects. So like this one gives attack increase by 8% to your combatter. And he has a special ability too, where he gives 200% shield for EP2, which we saw in battle earlier. You can equip one of these each on your different characters, along with a card setup, a save data, which again, we talked about. You can get this from doing the chaos levels. Then you also have your potential, which is kind of like your talent, which it's kind of like a tree. You can upgrade these as you go along. And then last but not least, you have your manifest ego, where this is basically if you get duplicates of the characters, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get different bonuses to your character's kit. But anyways, why don't we see if I can get something cool? I believe to start off, we're going to go for the 50 rescue banner. I believe this is the best use of my standard materials. So let's rip it, boys. Let's see what we get. Here we go, boys. Here we go. The animation's kind of cool as well. I don't know how to tell what we get. Does that mean a 5-star? I honestly don't know. Interesting. Nah, that's just a regular partner. We don't really care about that. Anything good? Oh. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh. That's a partner? Holy crap. Well, we got one, boys. But yeah, that's pretty much Chaos Zero Nightmare. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below. If you did enjoy it, I'd love to hear about it. But nonetheless, thank you so much to them for sponsoring today's video. If you want to go and buy this game for yourself, it's out now on Android, iOS, and PC. All the links for that will be in the description below, so make sure to go check them out. And boys, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.